everybody, and welcome to a new episode. The first episode, the inaugural episode of Spring Fever. And man, what a first episode we have. We had the USFL Draft. Just before I get into anything, Spring Fever, this show, what we're going to be doing here, I'm joined as always by my favorite co-host, Chase Lupine Fiasco. Sessoms, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm good. It feels like we're wrapping up just like a marathon after the last 2 days of drafting.
Oh my God. Okay, so what this show is going to be, what Spring Fever is, folks, is we will be discussing spring football. And by spring, I mean alternative football leagues. So on here, we're obviously going to be talking USFL. We'll talk XFL news. We'll talk CFL. We might even talk X League and ELF. Well, I'm going to be doing so much research into these alternative football leagues. I'm diving in. I'm jacked. I'm back in, baby. I'm fully back in.
I know this feels just like a monumental day for you. It's not quite as monumental as we will have next year in 2023, but
I hope next year or this year, I can be part of this draft selection process.
You're gonna be.
XFL.
I know in my
happen.
heart. Starting quarterback, XFL Jim.
What team? What team would I go for?
Battlehawks.
It has to be Team 9.
No, you're starting quarterback for the Battlehawks in my mind.
I love that. But I think Team 9's perfect because it's technically, it funnels out to all the teams.
Okay.
So
okay, that's a good point.
If I'm Team 9, I have my feet in every single team.
I could see you being loaned out, brought back in, loaned out. You just like anytime they need a W, they just call you in from Team 9.
Call me the mercenary. Call me the hitman. Just bring me in. We're gonna basically this entire first episode. We're just gonna be breaking down the USFL Draft. It's the biggest thing going on right now.
Yeah, it was. Man, picks were fast and furious. Had a couple little surprises first day, and but other than that, man, like it was a whole lot of Googling for me.
It was a lot. It was a lot of Googling, and I didn't have time to whip together a theme song just yet. But for now, especially since it's the USFL Draft, I think this is only appropriate.
Let's do it. What?
Football.
What? God. Just league and team theme songs were the best in the 80s.
It's so good.
Just building to a crescendo.
They really just blasted this whole song.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I didn't expect it to go this long. This is the USFL.
That is the USFL, folks. And this is Spring Fever, talking the USFL Draft. Let's get right into it. Let's get into this draft, baby.
Let's do it.
The way I'm ordering these, we're gonna go team by team, just kind of how they drafted in the first round in the order that they drafted, and I have a couple key players that I wanted to keep a lookout for, and I think we can give our overall vibe on how each team did, and then kind of at the end, give a little preview for how we think this league is gonna shape up.
Absolutely. Let's get after it.
Let's do it. Starting off, we got the Michigan Panthers head coach Jeff Fisher.
That's right.
And the biggest
tickler.
wrench in the whole I think this is the biggest shakeup in the whole draft. The first pick, quarterback Shea Patterson.
No one saw that coming. Everyone, as soon as they heard the name Jordan Ta'amu, spring league champion, everyone thought that was the direction they were going. And no, they threw us a wrench. Went with the regional pick with Shea Patterson, and yeah, man.
I'm here for international man of mystery Shea Patterson. I think when you look at Shea Patterson, a lot of people are obviously going to be remembering his Michigan days, which were flashes of, I would say, goodness, not greatness, with a lot of mediocrity. I think that was a lot, to be honest. I think that's a lot on the offense that Harbaugh was like just forcing Michigan to run.
Sure. I kind of think like just seeing how they drafted and everything. I have a theory that this is a team that's going to be run first. Quite honestly, just full on Jeff Fisher style.
I think he gives you that ability. He's got the legs to kind of run some option plays. He's as far as I'm aware, as far as I've seen him play, I saw him a little bit in the X League and his time at Ole Miss. He's accurate. The guy can
Yeah,
be accurate.
sure, and but he's also definitely a threat to run. Like he's an athletic dude, as Charles Barkley would say.
Athletic. I'm a fan of this pick. What did you think of this one?
Shea Patterson. I mean, part of me thinks it's even though they're playing in Birmingham, they're definitely gonna try to have him next year as their starting quarterback. Which actually, you know what? I mean, who knows? Like they threw a little wrench in things and took Paxton Lynch with their last pick. So I think you're gonna have a quarterback battle, quite honestly.
I think this was definitely one of the ones that you could see some QB controversy. Paxton Lynch is a name people will actually recognize. He almost had the time. He almost got in with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, mine and the Garages and the Gymnasium's team of choice in the CFL. I'm excited to see kind of how that QB room unfolds. Another player I was on the lookout, obviously for the entire draft. We previewed him a little bit. Is for the Michigan Panthers edge rusher Kayvon Walker from Maryland. The dude was, in my opinion, the best part of the best unit of the best defense in the XFL, being the edge rusher on the New York Guardians. They were dominant on defense.
Yeah.
Which is saying something because that offense was hot garbage for like 3 games, which is
absolutely
half the season.
It's called McGloinitis. Yeah, man. You got it in your notes here. He's a machine. Like there's a reason that you were excited for this guy, and there's a reason why they took him as, I believe, their first defensive pick. I think it was a good pickup.
We were behind the scenes on the Sports Gambling podcast stream when this got picked, and Chase can attest to this. I was jumping up and down in my seat.
There was green room excitement. There was green room excitement for Shea Patterson. Basically, anyone who's going to be repping the Panther, there was green room excitement.
Kayvon Walker is someone I've been wanting to root for the entire time. I've loved this guy ever since his time on Detroit. Speaking of another XFL guy who I think can get it done here, wide receiver Jeff Bidet. Love this guy. He was on the Renegades, who also throughout the season had a couple QB issues. When Landry Jones wasn't in, none of those guys really got a lot of shine. The guy's got speed. I know it's a pro day time, but he ran a 4.2 on his pro day.
Yeah, I think that they're going to use him as a kind of a RPO guy. If Shea Patterson gets the starting job, if somehow Paxton Lynch gets it, then it's straight up like play action bomb over the top.
I definitely think so. I think the only thing he needs to work on is his hands a little bit. He's got the speed. He's a great, he's the stereotype. He's what everyone was saying DK Metcalf was when he was coming into the draft, that he can run really fast in a straight line.
Yeah, that's about right. But I mean, when it comes to offensive line, it seems like they got some big old boys. They went Big Ten linemen to protect Shea Patterson. They got some big old run blockers too. So yeah, I think they're going to be pounding the rock behind that big ass offensive line.
Yeah, I definitely like the pickup of Josh Dunlop. I think that was a good move on their part. Yeah, the Panthers, it definitely seemed like certain teams were going fairly regional. My gut, once we actually sit down and I get like a whole overview of these teams, but it feels right off the bat, the Panthers went kind of Big Ten, which in my opinion is a smart move.
You want to talk about going Big Ten? They passed up the chance to take another wide receiver just to get another offensive tackle.
It's a Big Ten move.
Big Ten move.
That's a very
someone Photoshop 15 Michigan Panthers lined up on the line of scrimmage.
Oh God, let's play Burt Ball. Let's have the Michigan Panthers play Burt Ball.
Let's just bird it.
Gross. I don't want to root for a team that plays Burt Ball.
No one does.
Next up on the docket, we got the Tampa Bay Bandits, who I think sneakily had a really good draft. Obviously, the big story is since Shea Patterson went first, you've got Jordan Ta'amu just sitting right there for the taking.
Yeah, probably the second biggest surprise was that Jordan Ta'amu fell to number 2. I mean, I know that the surprises go hand in hand, but yeah, like they've got a bona fide alternative football league spring league winner with Jordan Ta'amu, and I mean, SEC pedigree, played at Ole Miss, and plenty to like about Jordan Ta'amu.
Similar to Shea Patterson, an extremely good dual threat quarterback. The one thing I would say he definitely has over Shea Patterson is size. Jordan Ta'amu is not like a small guy.
No. When's the last time you saw a small Hawaiian? Come on.
It's true. It's
true.
Very true. I also think, everyone knows our opinions so far. If you've listened to the Gymnasium, our opinions on Todd Haley, guy kind of seems like an asshole.
Yeah.
If he's as quarterback friendly as the Bandits fans hope, this is a match made in heaven.
Yeah, I think so. I think it will be just let Jordan Ta'amu sling it around, and when it breaks down, make plays.
Exactly. Just let him do his thing, and I think he will carry you. I mean, there's a reason NFL practice squads were wanting this guy. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's a good asset to have.
Next up, we got the edge rusher, Mekhi Brown. Dude's, he's insane. Obviously, he played at Alabama. What more do you want from that? He's got all the measurables you would ever want.
I thought he was from Georgia.
No, Mekhi Brown was Alabama.
That's right. That's right.
He's the one famously yelled at Nick Saban.
And finished his career at Tennessee State subsequently. Yes.
Yep.
Same page.
He's got everything you want measurably in an edge rusher. He's giant. He's fast. He's got great hands. The only worry with this kind of guy is what's his maturity level at this point. Hopefully, from his college days, he's gotten a little outside of his own head and won't yell at the head coach. I mean, it's more acceptable to do it in a pro sense, but you don't yell at like Nick Saban.
Yeah. No, you don't.
Your future, man.
Yeah. You know what you're getting right now? You're getting a D. You know what that D's for?
Demoted.
D's nuts.
Ooh, that's that's
little throwback to the Saban D's nuts jokes.
I think this guy potentially, if he plays up, if he's smartened up, this guy could be potentially the most dangerous D lineman in the league.
Quite possibly. There are a couple of guys that have this sort of pedigree that like played for Georgia, played for Bama, that are, I mean, those rosters are chock full of like 4 or 5 star kids that like never saw the field. You know what I mean? Like that just couldn't beat out the other alien that was on the depth chart ahead of him.
It's like you're an NFL caliber player, but your next, like the guy that you're trying to beat out is like a first round draft pick.
Yeah, there was a kid who lived up the street from me. His name was Alti Tenpenny. He was a big time 4-star running back for the local high school. He decided he was going to go to Alabama and compete against the best. Guess who came in the same year with him?
Who was it?
Derrick Henry.
Yeah, you're not getting that job.
No.
Jeez. Next up, and maybe this guy's one of my top 3 players in this whole league. It's the center for the Bandits, Bruno Reagan. Love this guy on the Battlehawks. He was the leader. He was like the mindset leader, in my opinion, of what was the strongest offensive line in the XFL of the Battlehawks.
Yeah. Do you know what like most winning teams have? Smart, talented centers.
Yep.
And he's got a badass name.
Bruno Reagan is awesome. The only worry is like he's been in broadcast the last year and a half. He's been doing a radio show in Nashville. But if he stayed in football shape, forget about it. Dude's great.
So the question is, how much hot chicken have you consumed over the last couple of years?
I think he would answer that with enough.
With all the hot chicken.
I have consumed all of I am the hot chicken now.
At this point, I've just become the hot chicken.
What did you think of the Bandits overall? I think they were sneaky. Not a lot of people I saw talking about them, but I think they had a sneaky good draft.
You know, my thought with the Bandits, I like their first 2 picks. Past that, nothing really jumped out at me except for maybe Delrick Abrams Jr. I think a lot of people think they had just like a top-notch, one of the best drafts. I feel like there are others that did better.
I definitely think there are others that did better. I think I would put them at like the 3 to 4 range, like top 3, top 4.
That makes sense. I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that.
Next up, we're rolling to the Philadelphia Stars, the Hardy Boys themselves. We're going to be analyzing the quarterbacks for all these ones. They got Brian Scott, who everyone else, like out of the two quarterbacks everyone was talking about, it was Brian Scott and Jordan Ta'amu. These were the two guys. He's been a spring league staple forever, and I think him paired with a guy like Bart Andrus, their like mentalities are so well connected. Bart Andrus, football is in his blood. He's coached everywhere. Brian Scott, he's like an alternative league legend. They live for this shit.
I have so much trust that Bart Andrus knows how to identify talent that he thinks that he can develop, because that's literally been the name of his game for like 20 years now. Like and because of that, I honestly think Philly could have had the best draft possibly, just because I trust him so much and his eye for talent.
I love this pick because it gives you a guy with experience, the mental. Like Bart Andrus is coached in the spring league. He knows what Brian Scott is about. He's seen him for years. And I think just like having that guy who doesn't have any rust, who's been competing in these kinds of leagues year in and year out without taking any time off, that's perfect for this kind of team.
Yeah. No, I agree. Let me see. I'm trying to see if there's anybody else that I can call out that I saw that I really liked. Mazzy Wilkins, pretty good DB.
Yep, he was a good DB a lot. Yeah, I like that pick. There was a lot of good guys I think that the Stars got. I like Ladarius Wiley at safety as well. And what was another one I saw that I liked? Obviously, just for the name, I love Case Cookus.
Yeah, I want him to play so he can say he cook us that took us, when he roasts that ass. Also, Freedom Akamuladon, Nebraska Cornhusker, going to Bart.
Freedom. I love Freedom. They had two Nebraska players for the Philadelphia Stars. Freedom, you pronounce it way better than I do. Holy fuck. I just call him Freedom. Dude's awesome, and he's a great edge rusher. He's got all the measurables. He's a smart guy. I also wanted to talk about little interior linebacker Josh Banderas. And for your Nebraska fans out there, you may remember him as one of the hardest playing, dumbest players we've ever had.
Got to have those guys, though. You got to have those guys.
He wants to hit hard and put in the effort. He's dumber than a sack of bread. He will bite on everything. He's so dumb.
And he might actually bite, though. He goes that hard.
He does. Also, fun fact about Josh Banderas. Two fun facts. In high school, he was known as Stinky Dick Banderas. And, and he got suspended from the Nebraska Cornhuskers for stealing bicycles.
Great. You have Debo. You have Stinky Dick Debo.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that. And then Channing Michael Sterling. Love this guy. He's a DB for the Stars. This guy has so much experience. He's been on the CFL. He's been in the XFL. He's been on NFL squads. He's been all over. These kinds of guys that the USFL got, I think they're going to be very valuable.
Yeah. DB has become just such an important position just in football in general. It's like the offensive line and the DBs the defensive line and the DBs just seem to be the key players there.
I agree with that. And I think it's another Bart Andrus move where you get these guys that can lead these units and you maybe like sprinkle in some inexperience after that. You just have your guys that are the leaders of each unit, and their experience combined with Bart Andrus' experience is just going to make. I think people will be able to tell. I think we like the Stars a lot.
Yeah, and he was part of that Dragons defense that was really kind of shaping up by the time whenever they had the shutdown.
I would call, if I had to go back to the XFL, I would say the Guardians, the Dragons, and sneakily maybe the Roughnecks as the top three defenses. The Roughnecks are really proven to be like a really good defense near the end there.
Yeah.
Next up, New Jersey Generals, led by Mike Riley. Ben Holmes. Not a lot of film, not a lot of info on this guy. He played at Tarleton State. I think he could potentially get good with this Mike Riley system.
I actually got a chance to interview him. earlier
did you?
today. Yeah, we got to talk to Ben Holmes, who was the first of the what I'm calling 22222, the Tarleton takeover, because they had so many players get drafted on the opening day. I like him. For one, he just seems like a good guy. For two, got to see some of his highlights, and dude, he can sling it. He can sling it, but you know what? He is athletic. He can run. Like, he looks like a much more athletic Baker Mayfield. He looks like a Baker Mayfield that I wouldn't mind playing for my team.
Damn it. You know I'm a Baker Mayfield fan. And I agree. I agree wholeheartedly, actually. Another Generals player we got in the chat. We got Jared in the chat. Devontae Bosby. He's one of these guys that, like, obviously he's a D-back, very important. I think it's another one of those things where he has a wealth of experience. He was looking on the come up, and then all of a sudden you get a neck injury.
Right. Was it Baby Bosby? Yeah. They had a lot of rounds of DBs, and this was the first one they pulled from in the 8th round. It gives you an idea of how important they thought he was.
Yes, very, very, very. I also got the wide receiver here, Kavonte Turpin. I remember his time at TCU. Dude was studly at TCU. I'm going purely off memory here. He was really good at TCU during those years where they were kind of struggling at quarterback for some instances. I think this is a solid get. I think what they should do is get him involved in special teams, and then you got yourself a really dangerous return man too.
That's why I like this pick. Was I believe he had a history of returning kicks at TCU, and with these short rosters, anybody who has any sort of versatility is going to be incredibly useful.
Yep, he was killing it in the fan-controlled football league, which, to be fair, is extremely just offense friendly because there wasn't really a ton of defense in there, but he looked good.
Yeah.
Rounding out, we got defensive tackle Toby Johnson on my list. He was a part of another guy. He was part of this dominant New York Guardians defensive front unit. He was on the D line. Just, there's not too much to say about him. He's got great measurables. This is the Georgia guy right here. He played at Georgia.
This dude big. He real big. I think you're going to see a lot of rush 3, drop 8 kind of defenses in the USFL, just because that seems to be the defense people are playing right now. And plus you have a lot of coaches that seem like they might be pass happy. So if he can develop, get a pass rush going as a nose tackle going 3 versus 5, like, oh man, then he's a big time pick, and he's got a good chance because this dude is big. He big though.
He big. I think the Generals had a pretty good draft overall. I'd say I'd put them at maybe like number 4 or 5.
Yeah, I think they're definitely on the top half. I don't disagree with that by any means.
Up next, we're rolling to the Houston Gamblers, and they took a gamble, I would say, with their first pick, Clayton Thorson, quarterback out of Northwestern.
You got a guy who took Northwestern to the Big Ten championship. That's worth noting.
He's got every quarterback record imaginable at Northwestern, which, to be fair, isn't saying much because it's Northwestern. No, I'm not saying Northwestern's a bad team. I'm saying generally their offenses are not very good and their defenses are great. But maybe that was just a product of the system where he doesn't get to shine as much. But you know what that does tell me? If you're a quarterback that succeeds like this at Northwestern, you are consistent and you don't turn the ball over. That's something that Pat Fitzgerald does not tolerate.
That's right. Yeah. It bears mentioning that Northwestern's got some pretty high admission standards. Probably going to be a pretty smart kid that you got playing quarterback for you. I mean, it's like a better Midwest Vandy, almost is the best way I can describe Northwestern.
That's a good way to describe it. That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah. So, it's a quality pick. It's a quality pick. It's one that people were clamoring for. I was really excited about their first defensive pick at the edge position with Chris Odom, though.
Love this pick. I'll let you wax a little poetic about this. This guy was great.
A-State guy's a monster. And he's got NFL snaps under his belt. He has played during the regular season in the NFL. He actually had 2 sacks in an NFL game. I mean, even if you're just somebody that they're plugging in, it's hard to get sacks. I don't think they were overlooking him either. Like after you get the first sack, people are like, we should block him, and he's still got another one. So yeah, great to see. There were not very many like Arkansas, affiliated players. I think he's from Texas, but played for A-State. So yeah, good to see him go early. Wolves up.
Love this pick. I think actually sneakily the Gamblers could be a very defensive first team, which I wouldn't think with a Kevin Sumlin as a head coach.
Yeah, yeah. I was so sure. I was certain. I was certain he was going to take Johnny Football. I was certain of it.
You were really hoping for that.
I was really hoping for it. I was even gonna do this. I was gonna do this as soon as they did it, and then they didn't do it.
In some respects,
no, they didn't do it.
I think Kevin Sumlin reunited with Johnny Football would have been magical.
Yeah. Let's. I think the secret was that then they needed to find like the tallest wide receiver to play with them, because that was kind of a lot of Johnny Football's success.
It helps to have Mike Evans.
Throwing it to Mike Evans. Let's not lose that fact.
I'm trying to think, who would they have gotten as receiver then? You know who they should have gone for receiver? I don't know if maybe he's retired from the game altogether. It's Cam Phillips from the XFL, the leading receiver in that league.
I want to say this Isaiah Zuber kid that they got he's like 6'5" or 6'6".
That's pretty good.
Let me see. I might be wrong.
I definitely like the move. I mean, it doesn't matter because you got Clayton Thorson now, so I think he's fine either way. He is 6 foot.
6 foot. Thinking of a different guy. There was someone out of like it was like Southwest East Washington University town that got drafted that was super tall that I was thinking of. But no, what I remember about Zuber was he's a fairly young guy, but he's got quite a bit of practice squad. Quite a bit of practice squad experience behind him.
He definitely does, and I think the other guy that I'm looking at here, I'm feeling. We got the outside linebacker Donald Payne, and this guy, he's one of these he's one of these players for the USFL. He's bounced around everywhere. He's been on so many NFL teams. I think the USFL is a great spot for him. He played in a small league and he had an injury, so I think those are like a double compounding factors on why he didn't land on an NFL team. The dude led the NCAA in tackles in 2015.
That's no small feat. Absolutely no small feat.
It's in the Pioneer League, but still, like that's still very impressive.
Right.
I think the Gamblers overall did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did fine. I can't think. I mean, they got a good offensive tackle in Genesee. Clayton Thorson's a good pick. Chris Odom's a good pick. They actually did better than I'm giving them credit for right now. I'd put him close to the top 3, perhaps.
I would probably also put them in the top 3. I think you and I are higher on Thorson than a lot of people.
I think that's probably right. I mean, dude, you succeeded at Northwestern. You deserve a gold medal. You deserve a wreath of roses and a blowjob.
I think if I remember correctly, too, they were pretty competitive in that Big Ten championship game for like a half and a whatever against Ohio State.
Yeah, until they just got Ohio Stated on, pretty much.
I mean, you're Northwestern, they're Ohio State. It's just like a battle of attrition.
Pretty much at that point, yeah.
I mean, it's similar to like what we saw with Alabama, Cincinnati. Like Cincinnati was in it for a while, and then eventually you just lose out because they just have so many more dudes.
Right.
Up next, we got the Birmingham Stallions, the home team for every single game. Starting off, we got the quarterback, Alex McGo.
Mm-hmm. From the airport.
From the airport.
Yeah, he's bounced around to a couple of teams. Holtz seemed to have a theme, didn't he? It was like, I'm going to pick people from either that, like I probably recruited, I coached, or coached against. Like he went TLC and did not chase waterfalls in this one.
He really went like CUSA heavy. He just went with familiarity, and I can't blame him for it. This guy's kind of an unknown quarterback. I don't know what to expect out of Alex McGo here.
Yeah,
and I think that's a fun thing. I think that's a cool thing with a lot of these guys. I know a lot of people were expecting like a Luis Perez, maybe some of these other guys from that played in the XFL. Maybe we'll see him in the XFL. Who knows? Who knows what we could see? I like these unknown guys to give them a shot and bring new names into the spring football universe.
Yeah, what's kind of funny to me is that I think Skip Holtz was one of the only coaches to not skip getting a kicker or a punter with it, in the later rounds with his like compensatory picks or anything. It seemed like everyone else was like, fuck it, we'll find a kicker or a punter.
He skipped something. He definitely skipped something. I think it might have been running back. It might have been like they might have skipped at a running back or something.
Let's see. I can tell you. They skipped on a defensive tackle. They skipped on a guard.
Not important at all.
Yeah, don't need those in the slightest. I'm going to be honest. I feel kind of underwhelmed by this draft, excluding the one person I think you're getting ready to talk about.
We're talking about Scooby Wright here.
Scooby Wright.
Scooby Wright's real good.
Baller.
He was awesome on the Defenders in the XFL. This guy's he can ball. And his name is Scooby.
Yeah. He wants a snack. That snack is the QB.
I do have to mention, since we did talk like kickers and punters, Jared has a point. Marquette King would have been fucking fantastic in the USFL.
More than likely. Yeah. I like Marquette King.
I love Marquette King. His time in the XFL and the Battlehawks. Give me a punter that has as much personality as Marquette King, and I will show you to the Pat McAfee show.
Yeah. Yeah. He's pretty much, those are the two. Those are the two punters that have, the ones that were like active. What was his name? That Chris Cluey. Cluey had some personality too.
Marquette King should be on a fucking NFL squad somewhere. I love Scooby Wright so much. He's such a baller. And then safety, Tyree Robinson. He's got great awareness. He's also played cornerback as well, which I think is a very good boon for a safety.
Yeah. Yeah, because more than likely he's got a little bit of ball skills. The fact that he's got some versatility, could maybe, drop back and play that last line of defense, but also maybe step up and lock someone down. It's going to go a long way with the short roster. So it's I'm all for people picking for versatility in this draft. With that being said, I still think the Stallions kind of whiffed.
I might rank the Stallions like 8th.
Which makes sense, because I think we had Skip Holtz as like our...
He was bottom. He was near the bottom.
He was yeah, pretty much.
Like we were pretty low on Skip Holtz and we were pretty low on Jeff Haley.
Todd Haley?
Todd Haley. Blah, 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 blah. Todd Haley. Next up...
He seems like a Jeff. Ugh.
Jeff. Like a Jeff who spells it Geo.
Oh, like a real asshole. Yeah.
There we go. Shout out Tampa Bay Bandits. Chuck and Billy's not your cup of tea.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bandits, I think they got a good draft, but Todd Haley's a piece of shit. Up next, Pittsburgh Maulers, quarterback Kyle Laletta. Love the name. I like saying it like that too.
Yeah. This is a team, actually, I think that they had a pretty good draft. I have no idea what to expect from them on offense, because Kirby Wilson has been a position coach his entire time coaching running backs. With that being said, that makes me assume that they're going to run the ball a lot, but also, who knows? Maybe he had a secret notebook of plays that he was working on the whole time he was a running backs coach, like Mr. Coach Klein at for the Mud Dogs. Like,
he's got the secret book.
Yeah, it's going to take him all the way to the Bourbon Bowl. First of all, you got to love Kirby Wilson. Like, just seems like an awesome guy. He's been doing it such a long time, and he literally beat fire. He beat fire. Fire tried to kill him, and he beat fire back.
Did they pick the running backs? Yes, they've actually picked everyone so far. The draft is over until the compensatory draft I think that's like March 10th.
Yep. Yeah. They have one more chance with a supplemental draft later.
The other guy, I honestly, Kyle Lutta, I don't know what to expect. He's one of these guys. Injury kind of hampered him a little bit, but he was good at Richmond. He was really good at Richmond.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll see how far that goes. Being a spider.
The next guy I wanted to highlight from the Maulers is offensive tackle Isaiah Battle. Whenever there's a draft in a league like the USFL and you get to the offensive lineman and you recognize a name, that's usually a really good sign.
That's meaningful. I mean, he could be the most noteworthy offensive tackle that they took in the draft, because the offensive tackles were high in the priority of how they did this. And yeah, I mean, he seems, I mean, he's coming out of Clemson. He's got the pedigree. I mean, this seems like a great pick, quite honestly.
I think this pick is absolutely fantastic. I mean, he played meaningful real snaps at Clemson during the height of. I mean, you could argue it's still the height, but during like national championship every other year, Clemson.
Yeah, I mean, this even if he was there from like the going to the Peach Bowl times of Clemson into like ascending into way better teams.
Next up, defensive tackle, and I love this guy so much, Boogie Roberts. He was on the LA Wildcats, who, like, if you know, LA Wildcats were a super fun team. Their defense wasn't one of the dominant defenses, but man, did they get a lot of turnovers.
Did Boogie Roberts play in the Arena League?
He did. He played for the Rattlers, I believe.
Dude, watch his Arena League highlights. There's one, like, his highlight reel is like he's getting to the quarterback, and the quarterback is throwing it with his body language. It's like, I don't even want to play football no more. Football play too rough. Like, just kind of like throwing it and like instantly turning his back because he knew that Boogie was bearing down on him. Plus, it's fun to say, Boogie!
He's part of my favorite call from the XFL when he gets a scoop and score, because he got a scoop and score. By the way, if I'm remembering correctly, he scored the last touchdown of the XFL in 2020. And the call goes like this. He gets it. It's like at the end of the call, they said, Boogie Roberts, boogie on down.
There we go. That's what we're talking about right there.
Just amazing. Do you want to help out this little guy in the chat right here? Chuck and Billy, not your cup of tea. Who did the Bandits get at running back?
At running back? Okay, I will tell you. Let's see. That was
Bandits?
Oh, that's right. He was a Bandits fan. He's a Bandits fan. Let's see.
At
running back, the Bandits picked up B.J. Emmons and Juwan Washington.
I like that Juwan Washington pick.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But up next, the last team we're talking about, the last team we're breaking down, your New Orleans Breakers. Starting off with the quarterback, Kyle Sloter. I'm going to be honest, it kind of caught on last night. I'm going to love saying Slaughter Saturdays.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I like that. I like that quarterback. He's a very athletic quarterback. I think he's going to fit really well playing for Larry Fedora, who, never forget, turned Mitch Mustain into like a top 5 pick. People traded up to get Mitch Mustain off of his college production. He kind of fits that mold a little bit. If you look at what he did, at was it Northern Colorado, I believe. Yep. He threw for a ton of yards. He actually ran for a ton of yards, and the son of a bitch caught 14 passes his senior year as a quarterback. Are you kidding me? Yes. Give me more of this all the time.
I think you get a pure athlete like this, an awesome athlete like this, just like you were saying, in a Larry Fedora sort of offense, you could kind of see him get unleashed, and I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's also going to look real good in those uniforms.
Everyone's going to look good in those uniforms, Jim.
I mean, especially our next guy, D tackle Chris Okoye, another like athletic freak. Also, he was like the Chargers sought him, and I think he would have actually been with the Chargers maybe to this day if he didn't get injured right away. I
can't argue against it. I mean, something to be said. People who are that big are kind of like a commodity. Just being that big, it's like being a left-handed pitcher. Like, that's enough to keep you on a lot of just like at least minor league rosters, like if not major league. Come on, big old boy, played for Georgia. What else do we need to say?
Not much. Similar with this edge guy, Devin Bellamy, big old Georgia end, got the speed to go along with it. The guy's great, and there's not really too much more to say. I think this defensive line for the Breakers is going to be pretty strong.
So the only other person I really want to call out is I really like they dipped into the old Land Shark defense and got Derek Jones out of Ole Miss. I really like this pick. He came to Ole Miss as a wide receiver, versatility, and the kid's got ball skills. What's the thing you always hear like Chris Collinsworth or some bullshit say is like, oh, if you had good hands,
he's a cornerback.
Yeah, suck a dick, Chris Collinsworth. All right, this guy's got some ball skills, and He comes from what was a super salty defense at Ole Miss. Like there's some pedigree there. They were some athletes flying
Yeah,
all over the field
people
making
don't like
plays.
people don't think of Ole Miss, but defensive wise, I think that's a lot of recency bias, just because since Lane Kiffin's gotten to town, they haven't been. Their
Sure.
defense was good. Like, and by good, I mean they fucking just hit hard.
Yeah, they hit hard. They caused a lot of turnovers. The this the most all right. So the most awesome thing though about them being called the Land Shark defense was 1 year after Mississippi State beat them. The Mississippi State band proceeded to play Baby Shark as they were leaving the field. Thanks for that. Thanks for setting yourselves up for that.
I assume, in my opinion, that's the best rivalry in college football.
It's one of the good ones. I mean, and see, they might have. I think Sean Poindexter is the wide receiver I was thinking of. That was super tall.
I think he's very tall. Also, great name, by the way. That's another top tier name.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I'm gonna say, and I am 100% biased that the Breakers had a top maybe 2 draft.
I was just about to say, do we want to kind of like rank these teams right now? I think we should. I think we should rank these teams and kind of how we feel about them.
Are we going to come back and do another episode where we go through the rest of the teams?
That is true. That is true. We're actually going to go through everything. I want now, since this is our first episode, I want it on the record. Episode 1. Who's your pick to win the USFL?
We're asking this?
Yes.
The New Orleans Breakers. Fear the wave. They're going to wash you away to Titletown.
God, I always love
the lost city of Titletown.
You're an unabashed
Homer. Just dirty Homer.
I want to say the Pittsburgh Panthers so bad because I actually think they could do it. I think they're going to be a really good team. I think Jeff Fisher's a good coach. I'm going to lean in with our preseason opinion. I think the Philadelphia Stars, man.
If I'm picking with my head, I'm gonna agree with you.
I hope so much when we're in Vegas that that they'll have like a paper ticket I could get on the USFL.
On the Stars, yeah. I gotta say, I think you have a better chance of seeing Bart Andrus put out a better top to bottom team each week. That's what I think is going to happen. Is he's going to get consistency across pretty much everybody.
I think especially like season 1. You get someone like Bart Andrus, it's going to be great. What did you think of? Okay, so final thoughts. What did you think of the draft like process and experience as a whole? It was a roller coaster to me.
So from just like a straight up, structure and concept basis, I thought it was great. I think they did a really good job of putting together a fair draft for every team using their modified snake drafts, getting everybody their picks. I like that they picked by position groups. So that, it wasn't, no one could take advantage of having like back-to-back picks where they were getting like, if you picked 8th, you weren't getting like the 8th and then the 9th best player total.
Yeah, you weren't getting like the 2 best edge rushers in the entire draft.
Right, exactly. From a marketing, fan convenience standpoint, I think they really just kind of like dropped the ball with not having some sort of streaming video for this. Like having to go through like the teams like Twitter feeds and stuff. Like seriously, like I have to bounce around and say the team updates before like the USFL update. I mean, it's a first world problem. Don't get me wrong, but I think they had a little bit of a miss there.
We were using the term "fuck the dog," and
yeah.
Like, I really think so. I think if it weren't, they were really leaving it up to like the super fan and the people who were covering it, like the Sports Gambling Podcast, like XFL News, Newswork, like XFL News Hub, that were giving their own live streams. Like they left it up to the fans to kind of like carry the torch and make up for it. Yeah, they were blasting picks left and right, but how awesome would it be for the league to be able to like put that on TV?
Yeah, and when they were blasting picks left and right, just from like from the people who are attempting to bring it to you,
it's hard to keep up.
Very hard to keep up. Like you couldn't get through talking before someone, get done talking about someone before everyone else, was already picked. It's like, well, damn, now we have to catch up three players and figure out who all these are. It made it really hard. And thank you, Jared. Thank you. I'm rarely agreed with, so I appreciate that.
I mean, he's 100% right. They had Fox Sports. Like, you have this partnership.
Hell, you've got NBC. You
Use
got
it.
both of them.
Use it. Go stream it on fucking Peacock. I don't care.
Yeah, put it on the CAC.
Like, just do something. Like, I did notice throughout, though, at least to the USFL's credit, their Twitter following did grow by like 5,000.
Which is good. I guess. But there are also people who don't use Twitter or social media.
I think this could have been a cool way, even if you're not going to do your channels, like, even if you're not going to put it on TV.
Mm-hmm. Put it on YouTube.
Why not? Yeah, YouTube. These kinds of leagues, these spring leagues, need to use social media, need to use platforms like YouTube.
Stream it on Facebook, stream it on Twitch. There's so many options.
The best aspects of these leagues, the best things they could do, in my opinion, is just the amount of access leagues like the USFL, the XFL, the Spring League, the CFL can give that the NFL doesn't. That's something you have as a genuine leg up on the NFL. You could give access that this league can't or just doesn't want to. You have that ability to draw more people in.
You know, you missed the chance for somebody who was literally just like scrolling through, wanted something to watch, and they see a player that they recognize from a school that they follow, and then boom, they're interested in the USFL and they want to follow this player and see how their team does. Like you can grow it that way. I understand growing your Twitter following, but I mean, you and I both know
that doesn't translate to a lot.
Yeah, like how many of those people are actually like active, like things like that. Like how many thought they were going to get a T-shirt?
The people on Twitter that are going to like follow you on Twitter are already going to be super fans that you will already get even if you don't post often.
Absolutely.
Like it is important. It is important, in my opinion, if you're one of these leagues, to have a good social media presence, and I think the USFL does for the most part. You saw it with the XFL in 2020; they had a fantastic social media presence. I think the USFL kind of dropped the ball by not expanding. Going to YouTube, going to like just streaming it, just a video that we can all follow along. That's there. That like yes, I love sports gambling podcast. It was a fantastic stream. I loved it, but imagine those people going to the USFL stream, or imagine like people. Obviously, I'm going to watch sports gambling podcasts because I like those personalities. But you dropped the ball on. You could have potentially had thousands of people watching your stream, interacting with you.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what though, I noticed this today, which was while we were doing the second day with the sports gambling podcast earlier, was that on YouTube in the comments, do you know who kept popping up? The New Jersey Generals YouTube channel was coming in, dropping in comments saying, guess who we're gonna pick now. They figured it out. They get it. They understand.
I think you might see that with a couple of these teams might be grabbing on social media.
Yeah, they should all probably follow the Generals' lead with what they were doing.
They should all probably get their own freaking YouTube channels and start giving us some behind-the-scenes content. Now,
come on.
I want every team to have their own Hard Knocks.
Yes. I know what I'll be doing for the next couple months when that happens. Jesus, I love it.
Right. Love it. I think that'll do it. That's a good wrap for this inaugural first episode of Spring Fever USFL Draft Coverage Edition. God, this was fun.
I got a fever, and the only cure, more spring football.
More spring football. You got anything you want to shout out before we head out?
Yeah, man. I'm so busy.
Busy week.
Yeah, coming on next on BTV. You got me and BTV Beho with our show The Lineup, where we watch episodes of the first 48. We talk shit and we make prop bets on it, on real murders. Next, Divine on the Dog. Divine and the Dog. Me and Megan Divine of TVG fame. We got our little horse racing thing with America's Best Racing. That's on. That was on a little bit earlier on Wednesdays.
I caught that one. It was fun. That was a fun
Thank
one.
you. Me and my boy, this big galoot, XFL Jim, always together. Always doing shows. We'll have the Picks Porch on Friday at the gymnasium.
3 times a week now.
3 times a week. We're getting serious. I'm gonna start leaving a toothbrush in these streams.
I'll let you do that.
Yeah, you will. Give me a drawer too.
Hell yeah. Y'all know where to follow all of us. I got at of Oakland right there for Chase, at XFL Jim here. I got a lot of stuff coming out. Every Tuesday I'm going to be dropping a 5 to 10 minute video just of alternative football news goings on. That's just a quick little blurb. The in-depth happens here. Spring Fever. Follow us on all streaming sites. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on audio. We're on an audio podcast too. Follow us on Spotify. Give us a like. Give us a follow. We appreciate it greatly. Thank you all for tuning in. Peace out. For the love of football.